Good afternoon. My name is Sue Snyder. I'm with the Laguna Woods Democratic Club. And about 2 years ago, my husband and I started volunteering to do the food drives for South County Outreach. I know many of you are familiar with that in your donations and your time working for this wonderful cause. And I'm here this afternoon to interview Laura Fisher, the Executive Director of South County Outreach. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. And first of all, I would like you to tell the audience about yourself, your background, kind of where you grew up, your education.
Sure. So I grew up in Iowa, in a very small town outside of Dubuque. So any of you that have sang that Dubuque song, that's where I'm from. Grew up on the Mississippi River, the daughter of a veterinarian and a stay-at-home mom. So I had a really idyllic upbringing, riding horses and having a great time. Went to Iowa State University, graduated with a degree in journalism and English. Went to work. I'm really one of those people that has been unbelievably lucky in my lifetime. I've really only had 3 professional jobs, which is pretty great. So I spent 12 years on a college campus in the Midwest called Loras. I worked in everything from marketing and events to fundraising and speakers, and it was a really great opportunity. Met my now husband, who was living here in California, and he was not too excited to move back to the snow. Even though he's originally from Michigan, he didn't think snow was in our future. So I relocated here about 15 years ago. Went to work for the Boy Scouts of America, another fantastic opportunity for me, and truly enjoyed it. Really enjoyed my opportunity there. Learned a lot about administration and working with nonprofits. And when it was time for me to leave the Boy Scouts, I was looking for something different to do. And I had a friend that was very much involved at South County Outreach. And she invited me over for a tour, and I ended up meeting with the president of our board, Debbie Thrale-Kill. And as I was sitting there, when I had moved from Iowa to California, my family had always adopted a family. And when I got to California, the only programs I could find were Toys for Tots, which is a great organization, but it wasn't what I wanted to be able to do. So as I was sitting there waiting to interview, I saw the Adopt a Family program for the holidays and thought to myself, if this job thing doesn't work out, I found some place that I want to be involved in. That was 5 years ago, and I've been with South County Outreach ever since. A life-altering experience. So again, really enjoyed being able to assist kids in going to college. A lot of first-generational students went to college. Enjoyed my time at the Boy Scouts. Think the Boy Scouts is a great organization that makes our communities better. But now, you know, when you're charged with feeding and housing people, the level of internal pride and the level of internal pressure to make sure that you do a good job is really much higher. And so I'm lucky, but challenged every day to be there working.
Thank you. And what's your favorite part about working for this organization?
Oh, you know, most people that work for nonprofits have very unusual jobs. They wear a lot of hats. Sometimes it can be very long days and very long weeks because there's never enough money to go around. There's never enough help to go around. And so really, I think what I get the most out of in this position is knowing that most days I've improved somebody's life. You know, my husband is a salesperson, and I think that that's a very valuable job. We all are looking to buy different things. It wouldn't be my position. For me, being able to work a really hard day and knowing that, one, I've helped somebody else in our community into a better spot means a great deal to me.
You know, you remind me of something the Dalai Lama says, and that is, the purpose of life is happiness, and the way to happiness is through service. And I know that the members in our Democratic Club always feel so good about doing the food drives. We do the back-to-school backpacks. We do the Adopt a Family. A lot of our volunteers have never done anything like this before. And they love it. You know, we do the food Stater Brothers Market about once a month, and everybody who goes into the market, we hand them a flyer with the foods that you need.
Right.
And most people take the flyer with a smile, and it's rare that somebody doesn't bring something out. When they do come out and they say, oh, I forgot to buy you something, and I always say, oh, that's okay, we take money. So they kind of, oh, okay.
Right.
But it's just a great opportunity to be of service. And how do you get the volunteers? I've seen a lot of volunteers in the warehouse. How do you get those volunteers?
So we have 250 volunteers that work a shift for us. So if you were to visit our doors this morning at 9 a.m. and you were to visit our doors next Monday at 9 a.m., the same beautiful faces would be there greeting you.
Oh,
so they work a 3-hour shift from 9 to 12:30 and then from 12:30 to 3:30 weekly, unless they're on vacation. And I always knock on wood when I say that, because without them, I have a very small staff. There's only 10 staff, paid staff over there. And then we'll have another 1,500 volunteers that will work in front of Stater Brothers for us, or will come in on a weekend and sort food in the pantry. So volunteers are very much part of who we do, and they were part of our founder's vision. So in addition, when we were founded by Ray Havert, right here, kind of in Laguna Hills, his idea was that, one, he wanted to be able to help people in our communities that didn't have as much as he did, or the people he knew. But he also wanted to give community members a place to go and be involved, a place to go and volunteer. That they could be part of that service, part of making a difference in our local communities. So whether it's coming and speaking to the Laguna Democratic Club, we've got a lot of high school kids, we've got stay-at-home moms whose kids are now off to school. We've got a lot of churches that support us. Just a lot of community members come from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds in an effort to make a difference every day.
And they do.
They
make a huge
100%
difference.
they do.
It's just amazing to me that so many people in Orange County are suffering. They've lost jobs, they've lost their homes. And it's so great that this organization can help out. Now, if every now and then someone comes to the market when we're handing out flyers and doing a food drive, and they'll say, I can't help, I'm struggling, I give them a brochure and say, call these people. And I hope they do.
That is what we do. So a good chunk of my job is outreach. So it's being here with you today. It's going and speaking at city council meetings, because in a lot of instances, the first place that a household will go when they're facing an eviction or a shut-off notice is their city. Because if you think about 20 years ago, that's where you went for social services, right? Your city helped you with those things. Cities don't do that anymore. South County Outreach does. So we partner very closely. We want the high schools and the grade schools to know if they've got children that are facing needs or their families are facing needs, where those families can go for help. We want communities like Laguna Woods. If you've got a neighbor that's challenged financially, we want them to know where they can go for help. And then folks that go to the cities, we want them to know. So I speak at Kiwanis, I speak at Rotary, Lions Club. I'm always looking for opportunities to share the story of how South County Outreach and how people can get engaged, whether that's financially or volunteering, or just being aware of us, so that if you hear of somebody that's in a challenging situation, you know to send them to our doors.
That's great.
So that's giving them our brochure, handing out my card. That's what we're there for. We can't help everybody. We try, but finances and food keeps us somewhat in different parameters. And some people don't match up with what our programs are. So, we have housing. We own 17 condos that are in Laguna Niguel, Mission Viejo, and Lake Forest. But that housing component is literally for people that have children in the household and are homeless. It's a 6 to 9 month program, and we're able to move them in, stabilize the household, and get them back on their feet.
Oh, that's
We
wonderful.
get them employed. We help them try to reduce the debts that they may have. We want their household to be stabilized, their kids to be going to school, all of those types of things. But there are times when we will see an individual that comes to our doors that's homeless.
Yeah.
Our housing isn't designed for that, so we attempt to work with them to get them to a program that does have housing for individuals. That's a real challenge, though, because there is no, we recently have a new emergency shelter that's opened up in Santa Ana, but that's the first full-time emergency shelter that Orange County has ever had.
Yeah.
So there aren't enough resources for people that are facing homelessness.
Yeah, it's a shame. I've been down at the courthouse in Santa Ana, and I had estimated 100 people homeless hanging around the courthouse. I've heard it's much higher than that.
Depending on the day, it can be up to 500 people that are there in that community. Yeah, it's a real challenge.
Wow. Well, bless you for all the work you do. I just think
you.
South County Outreach is amazing. And I was going to tell you a story. Last February, we couldn't do a food drive because the Girl Scouts were at the market.
Right. Selling cookies.
And we love the Girl Scouts.
We do.
Well, one of our granddaughters is a Girl Scout and sells lots of cookies, some of them to us.
Too many to me, probably.
Yeah. But so we couldn't do a food drive there, so I phoned our community center and said, would it be okay if I did a food drive at our home for South County Outreach? And whoever I was talking to said, well, I don't know. I don't know. Well, maybe. I said, thank you. I think we'll do that. And, and so it was over Valentine's weekend. So we made up a flyer that said, Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and a little blurb about the needs. I think the warehouse was kind of low at that time.
Yep.
And so we made 100 flyers and took them to many neighbors. And of course included, if you can't bring food, money's fine. And we phoned South County Outreach, and they sent out several barrels.
Sure.
So in 4 days, the neighbors filled up all the barrels, and we collected, I think it was $720.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just floored. People were coming by with $50 bills and hundreds and checks. And people really want to help. And I've heard a lot of people say, I want to help somewhere, but I don't know where to go. So your program is just ideal for...
We are. And I want to share a little bit about where that money goes when we get those donations. So, typically with a food drive, it's all non-perishables, which is great. Our shelves are full of non-perishables, and they keep people fed. But when we receive those donations, what we do, if you've been in our pantry, we have a great deal of refrigeration. So we try to make sure that there's some form of produce, there's some form of protein, and then there's some form of dairy. Right now we can't afford ground beef, so we're spending the dollars that come in that way, specifically on chicken and those types of items. So, people are always cautious about their money. I like to make sure that we're really good stewards of that money, but that's where it goes. And then those cash donations allow us to buy what we're short of. So you see the food drive list. A lot of times those are very kid-friendly foods because we never have enough of them. We never have enough peanut butter. We never have enough jelly, macaroni and cheese, good cereal, which for children apparently correlates to having a lot of sugar. Those types of items. So that's how we use those cash donations. And then, of course, we are a business, so we need to pay bills just like anybody else. So we've got a great group of people that want to support by paying our rent, our electric bill. We've got garbage pickup. We've got insurance on the trucks that deliver and pick up the barrels. We've got all of those types of things that really, require cash to be able to pay our bills. Put gas in the trucks to go pick up food. So it's fantastic. And our numbers, change a little bit every year. So we typically see about 42% of the population that we see are children. It used to be, when I first got to South County Outreach, only 7% of our population were seniors. Last year that number jumped to 15%.
Wow.
And now, for the first 6 months of the year, we are at almost 38% seniors coming in the door.
Oh, that's amazing.
So a really
Yeah.
significant jump in that population, which can be a real challenge. And so we've
Yeah.
got bus service that if you come to social services, they can assist you with getting on a bus that will take seniors directly from Laguna Woods over to our doors. It's on a Tuesday morning, and they'll bring people back.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is.
And speaking of Laguna Woods, we have several different clubs there that collect
Yes.
for South County outreach. And when people come to us, when we're doing a food drive, they'll say, oh, I gave it my club or my
Right.
church or some organization. So that's always appreciated.
You know, this is an area, this is a community that really, back to the Dalai Lama's statement,
Yes.
you know, it's a very giving area. People
Yeah.
give of their time, they give of their intelligence, they give of their experience, and they give
Yeah.
of their money. And we are the benefactors of that and could not feel more blessed to have that than we do. You know, a lot of it is working in the pantry when we see volunteers, but we've got volunteers at our thrift store, Upscale Resale, that are in there helping us to, you know, sell more items. We've got volunteers that assist us by answering our phones and being able to have a pleasant greeting and a live person for people to talk to when they call us. We've got volunteers that help us at our backpack event or help us at our adopted family program. You know, we've got volunteers that are literally on the phone following up with people on food drives. So, you know, if we're in low need for food, we try to make sure that those things, you know, are all being met. So we've got volunteers that teach free computer classes for us.
I saw that you have computer classes.
So I always tell people you have way more skills than you think you have.
Yeah.
We all kind of doubt what our abilities are, but I guarantee you we can find something for you to do at South County Outreach.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Now, what about, I've seen teenagers down there working in the warehouse.
I love to have teenagers. I love to have elementary kids on site. Teenagers in particular with their community service involvement. We see a lot of teenagers after school and on the weekends. But grade school kids too. I love to give them a tour of the pantry because I think it's important. They will do a food drive and they will see the food, but they don't see where the food goes. And so I think it's really important that they can come and see that really that food pantry is somebody's grocery store, right? And that in some options, you know, this may be all that they have an access to. So, you know, it's not a matter of picking out your favorite macaroni and cheese or picking out your favorite jelly or, you know, whatever your after school snack is. For some families, they don't have all of those options. And I think, you know, teaching people about service at an early age is really important.
Right. And when we're doing a food drive at the market, if I see a family coming or a mother, father with little kids, I don't address the parents. I address the little kids. You know, and I say, would you like to help? There's some kids that don't have enough food at their home. Do you think you could help? And they always look up at mommy and daddy. And one little girl, she was probably 10 years old. Her mother gave her the list and a grocery cart and said, you go help, you go get some. That little girl bought everything on the list.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
It's great. I think her mother was a little surprised, but she said, fine.
That's good.
So it's great. And the teenagers now, is there, I think at the high schools, they have to do some form of community service. And this is a very good opportunity for them.
It is, and we see a lot of high school kids. We see a lot of Girl Scouts. We see a lot of Boy Scouts that will come in and do Eagle Scout projects. Girl Scouts doing Gold Award projects for us. Community service in different high schools, so kids will come in and do all that for us. And it's nice. You know, we've got a pretty good mix of young people and seniors that are there, and so it makes it a really good relationship for everybody.
I was going to tell you, we have a saying at our Democratic Club meetings once a month. People bring food to that too, and then I usually bring it over here the next morning. But when I make an announcement about bring food, we have a, oops, your phone.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it happens. I was at the warehouse once, and I guess it was Costco. They had donated like 1,000 cans of green beans.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a saying, no more green beans.
You know, I will tell you that you asked about my background. And I think the most interesting thing for me in going to South County Outreach was identifying what hunger and homelessness really is versus what we think it is. And, you know, I would go to the grocery store and support different avenues from food, and I even went to the Armory and served hot meals one night. And I think, I was very surprised because I would go in, and again, green beans would be on sale, or chicken noodle soup would be on sale, and those are wonderful items, and we need them. But there are so many other things that when you think about, what the cost of a toothbrush is right now, right?
Yes.
What the cost of body wash is right now.
Yeah.
What diapers cost. What baby food costs. A can, we were laughing. We play, when we go out to an outreach event and we'll have a table, we will have a Price is Right game. And we'll have people guess what food items cost. And Spam now, which everybody laughs about Spam, right? Spam is $5.25 for that little can. It's expensive. Pasta sauce is expensive anymore.
Right.
All of those things are so expensive for people.
Yeah.
So, the pantry is really a resource for them to come and be able to save some of those dollars that they're working for, because the majority of the people that we see are the working poor. So they are working, or they've worked in their past and they're maybe retired. But if they can take that money that they would have spent going to the grocery store and put that to paying their rent or paying their utilities, that helps keep them from becoming homeless, helps them from paying a utility bill. Yeah.
It's just really touching to me how generous people are. There are people, when we're doing a food drive, that bring out bags.
Right.
There was a woman last month. She had a grocery cart full of groceries, and one bag was for her, and she must have spent $100 on us. I was just so, I cried.
Yeah,
it's just
so impactful to think that people are willing to make that effort to support other people in the community, and that's why I'm really proud, to have a great team over there that's working hard every day to make sure that people like yourself in the Democratic Club and the woman that you referenced at the grocery store, that we're putting that to good work, and that we are helping as many people as we can.
Yeah. Now, I know when you go into South County Outreach, there's several women at the front. Are those volunteers
Those
also?
are volunteers.
And is Marlene a volunteer?
Marlene is a volunteer.
Oh, she's so beautiful.
And so is Ken. So I've got a couple volunteers that actually, unless they're on vacation, are there every day for us assisting.
Wow.
Yeah, they coordinate our food drives. They coordinate our truck drivers. They do all of those things for us. And I hope I have that energy when I'm older, and that I'm able to do, similar type things. Because one, I think it helps you be young, being out and doing different things. But two, I think it also makes us less self-focused, right?
Right.
So we're not worried about our little ailment or what's happening in our life, and you don't get caught up in some of the negative things that can be happening in our world, because you know that in some way you're making a difference locally.
Right. I've always thought, you want world peace, we got to feed everybody.
Right.
You're not happy. I know I'm kind of grouchy when I'm hungry.
Right.
And I can't imagine not having anything for your kids.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful thing that this organization helps so much.
Yeah, it does. And I think just relieving stress. So if you are a household that's challenged financially, the stress of not knowing if you can pay next month's rent, the stress of not knowing where your next meal is going to come can be pretty overwhelming.
I would think so.
And, we see help wanted ads now, right? People are going back to work. The hard part is they're still only making $10 an hour in a lot of instances, and they're maybe only able to get a part-time job. And, I think back to when I was in high school and you would get a part-time job and your hours would be pretty much the same, right? You would work after school, maybe from 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Now, part-time jobs, the schedules aren't the same, so it's difficult for somebody to get 2 part-time jobs that match up. So you may work, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 8 to noon, and then, Tuesday, Thursday, you have different hours. So it's not as easy as getting an 8 to noon job and then a 1 to 5 job anymore, because all of these schedules are so different. So that can be a real challenge for households, and of course, housing here. My team just attended a housing summit in LA, and they talked about not just for homeless households, but across affordable housing, that really the state of California is almost 1.5 million houses short for the amount of people that we have here. And housing is very expensive. So we have a good chunk of our people that are spending over 70% of their income each month just for their housing.
Yeah.
Just for their housing. And if you're living on Social Security or a minimum wage job, and the average rent in South County is $1,900 a month, you'd need to work almost 3 full-time jobs just to be able to afford your rent. And that's not, 2 jobs maybe, but 3 jobs is completely unrealistic for anyone.
Yeah, and I think sometimes a couple starts out thinking they're both going to work.
Right.
And then so often, if they have a handicapped child or 3 or 4 kids, then the babysitter could get all the money.
Right.
And it's
in a lot of
real
instances,
difficult.
Child care will cost more than what they're making outside the household. And so it becomes kind of a catch-22. If you're only making $10 an hour and you have to pay child care $15 to $16 an hour, it doesn't add up. So, that's where that computer lab comes in, and we try to increase people's technical skills so that they can go from 10 to maybe 12 or 14 or $17 an hour. And that helps to stabilize that household.
Wow. By the way, before we close, I'd like you to tell us about the Festival of the Trees. I'm not sure.
Well, I have my Halloween orange on today, but I probably should have my Christmas attire on. So our year-end fundraiser is a program called Festival of Trees, and we have about 15 uniquely decorated trees that go up in the Fairmont Hotel. So when you go into their lobby, there are these beautifully elaborate decorated Christmas trees that are there. They're sponsored by different businesses and individuals in the community, and then they're auctioned off and actually delivered to your home or your business, and then that goes to fund our program. And the kind of cool thing is it's difficult to have a Christmas tree if you don't have a home. And so it's really to remind people of that. So we would love to have people join us that night. It's a great kind of champagne and heavy hors d'oeuvres event on December 8th at the Fairmont Hotel starting at 6:30. You can visit our website at sco-oc.org for tickets. Tickets are $100 a piece. It is a fundraiser. But even if you don't do that, go to the Fairmont Hotel and see the trees. Enjoy the beauty of the season. It is a fantastic event, but we would love to have you join us at our reception.
Thank you. It's been a great joy talking with you, Laura.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.